Yo, I thought this would be easier. Just to do a video and go over things. And then just kind of let you do your thing from there. And then, we'll just shape this thing as we go. I've had 2 energy drinks, tall boys, 24 ounces, and probably about 4 to 6 cups of coffee today. Been chugging since 6 a.m. Alright, this will do. We'll start just like we're reading a book. Okay, so down the left side. And at the very bottom, I cut off a sliver that you can see the dividing line here, but it was 2 baser rectangles that were supposed to be like foundations. And the one on the left was consultation, and the other one on the right was Whitestone. And so basically, in a nutshell, Whitestone basically is the consultation bit of everything. Otherwise, it's a holding company. Okay, so it's like the top umbrella company. Otherwise, it's business strategy and web consultation. So you can think of it as one good way to think of it is business intelligence. And I'm just spitballing all this stuff in this video, and I'll try and keep it under 30 minutes. So you can think of it as business intelligence because oftentimes business intelligence departments, if you're aware, because what I hear could be anything in the world, because I don't necessarily know exactly what I'm talking about. I just kind of, work the best I can with street smarts, to be honest and transparent. But if you think of it in the light, if you think of Whitestone in the light of business intelligence, alongside them being a holding company, and we'll get into the private ventures and the portfolio type stuff in a bit that really qualifies it right now to be initially an umbrella company out of the gate, and sort of talk about some of the principles of hedging our bets. We still want to grow big and huge and work in big fun projects, but we try and be realistic and hedge our bets. For instance, I've been a serious audio engineer, for nearly a decade, and I'm very, very good at my craft in my state. I'm very aware of that, and so are the people that I work with and stuff like that. But I don't place stock in it like a lot of people in music do. I tend, I would want to be a little safer, just to put some punctuation on that tangent. Okay, so on the left hand side, going vertically, from top to bottom all the way. We've got the hip hop, which is sort of like our frozen banana stand, let's call it, from the show Arrested Development. I can't remember if you said you've seen it or not, but basically this could easily generate 10K or more. I don't know much about digital businesses reaching their maximums. I'm basically just a pretty experienced web consultant who is good at business naturally and happens to have a high IQ. And I don't like to bring that up, but it's a habit that I cut a long while back. But if we are going to sort of start covering each other's backs and maybe putting in a little bit more work on something that's maybe just sort of ours, and we can design it any way we want. It could even be like a third party thing, technically on paper, that is just a focus between your company and my company. So it's a third entity technically, and we could operate under any name we wanted at any given scenario. So with some of those with the street stuff, maybe not technically always on point or always professional, but definitely can throw a wrench into the mix, if you will, and bring I bring, like I was telling my little brother, I bring perspectives. He brings a lot of focus. He can stay very very calm and but anyways, hip hop revenue. That's the number one takeaway point. If we're looking through a black and white lens, number one takeaway point is um, revenue. The other thing was to sort of define, not just what you were doing or what like your major objective was or what your strength was or just sort of what came to mind, but sort of what um, the corresponding position, that role, what their sort of objective would be. And if it's, especially since it would be intended and encouraged for you to graduate so that we could define things and I could move up and out. The idea I think here is I want to encourage sort of that retired. I think it's going to take a lot of extra work on our part to not only find intelligent people, but to also grow and cultivate that intelligence, maybe even from a lower level, without college degrees and things like that, especially starting out in the beginning, depending on what our contracts look like and things like that. But a strategist in the end is essentially, in a nutshell, I don't know if this makes sense or if it's too figurative, but it's like a 3D monopolist. They sort of play that. There's someone who plays Monopoly in 3D, right? So again, it's intended and encouraged for even just a single strategist who is sort of like that's the lifeblood employee, the breadwinner, and that's exactly what he is. So it's intended and encouraged for him to have his own portfolio and maybe if the company grows and defines more and we get enough contracts to where you can't work them all even with the support of an analyst bringing in all that capital, but we know we could bring in more. We could bring in another strategist and another analyst and take on those contracts. So it's very Lego style, and we can snap and grid and build and scale. We'll never run out of digital businesses who will sign up for some variable degree of monthly digital business strategy and consultation. That's my middle brother there texting me wanting to get on a Discord call. Let me finish a meeting real quick. It's only 10:18 a.m. p.m. Let's see what he said. Oh, that's an email. It's about to ship. Okay. Like I said, I want to keep this under 30 minutes. The rest of this stuff is pretty straightforward, but and then we have Satyajit as IT. We call him that internally, but really on paper, what he's called is systems administrator, and you can call him sysadmin, systems admin, system administrator, system admin. So those things. So he basically just between you and I, he basically just does sort of like all the administrative stuff in between. But I wouldn't rope him as an administrative assistant, but I would rope an analyst as an administrative assistant. But I don't know quite how that roping would work. Whether that like whether now that analyst would need to be local because I have local things I would want an assistant to do as well. So maybe once we have more capital, we could get someone with a business administration. I think they have 2-year degrees as well. We could get somebody from the community college that could basically do what you tell them and learn the software. So, as a business strategist, while we're touching on it, so they're going to learn maybe 4 or 5 pieces of software that we want to get right out of the gate. And, you and I, you're filling that. So we're talking about this bubble here, and we'll get back into this and finish this. This is pretty straightforward. We'll talk about the auto biz in a second. So this, generates maybe 10,000 a month. I think that's fair. 10,000 a month, and then we drop it into an auto business where we can run some advertising campaign that we know will double that money and turn it into 20,000. And depending on, I don't know how, like I said, I don't know how maximums go. But, I don't know if we could take that 20,000 and drop it back into the top of the auto biz and turn it into 40. I don't know how many times we could do it. I don't know. I don't think it's realistic to think that we could even do it a second time. But we can't very well take that $10,000 and drop it back into the hip hop site. That would take too much infrastructure to scale. But we can do it like if we have some automatic autopilot, like a website simply selling a digital product that was plugged up with some form of uh, marketing platform where all we had to do is just top off the budget, and basically it would push that $10,000 through that marketing budget or that marketing platform, send double the traffic or what have you through the process of being pushed through the business, and the business auto filling the digital product just by redirecting them after they pay for the purchase, automatically redirecting them to the download link or page full of 5 different mirrors and direct links for the product. It just self-fulfills. So, that marketing platform, say Google AdWords or Facebook marketing or anything, only a digital product. So that makes it sort of difficult, but it's worth it in the end because it's perfect. If it's just that makes it just like a machine that if you put $1 in, you get $2. That would be perfect. That's fully autoed. You can't drop $10,000 into the hip hop thing and scale it and get 20,000 back. You can only expect a consistent income because of the nature of the infrastructure. But the auto biz, you can drain $10,000 of AdWords. If that's what you want to do, plan the auto business to be in a niche niche that can accept that amount of business or budget, or there's enough room in AdWords or whatever marketing platform it is for that. Say like a weight loss platform for Facebook would be a good one. And then it doubles it. So each month, I think it could be realistic. It would be hard, but we could definitely get it done within the next 12 months and have this thing fully running for 24 months. And then we could sell the whole portfolio. We could sell the whole freaking thing out from under Whitestone, because with Whitestone, we can jump around all day long. We can, birth another umbrella company right underneath it and just sell that off, because we're going to sell it privately anyways. Even if it took us as long as we were running, even if it took us 24 months to get ready to sell the entire thing, and I know I'm talking your ear off, I'll whip through the rest of this. Even if it took 24 months to say, okay, we know we're going to make a shitload off of this, and basically it's just me and you are going to are scraping it off the top. Or getting like 90% of everything. And it's a massive thing with 24 months, which is crazy. It's going to become worth 8 to 18 times, very conservatively speaking, within 6 to 12 months of profit history. I mean, right at 6 months. So 24 months, that's a good freaking deal. We would go private, and I don't care if it took another 24 months. Frankly. Because I would like to do something slick, and I do think that whipping up the hip hop site and selling it right at 6 months is a smooth idea. Because, I've got 2 good cars I want to get for me. I'm not asking for much. I'm not. It's this isn't like an end all be all for me. But I do have high expectations, and I think that that's smart. And I'm willing to go a few steps above my expectations, and I think that that's how I can, shoot for the moon, plan to land amongst the stars, but and also be realistic at the same simultaneously. Okay, so I'm gonna move on. Anyways, this is pretty simple. Let's say this does $10,000 a month, and each month we're able to drain, because we've strategically perfected this over time, sticky, syrupy, caffeinated beverages. And we're able to double that dough each month. So this is all of a sudden, realistically, I think speaking, we could have this machine, this simple 2-part machine, banking out $20,000 a month between both of our focus. Now, I don't want to allude to, I guess what I need to say right now, just to set the expectation, is that, remember in that email I said it was expensive to even get Whitestone out of bed. But I was talking about, $5,000 a month for a brick and mortar. I know I wrote this somewhere. Grassroots marketing, process architecture, and consultation. Non-digital services. $5,000 a month for this bubble. We can expand into that. But also, I think here on my piece of paper, which you can't see obviously, a remote contract, right here, remote contract, which is a strategist's biggest thing and an analyst, supports it. It's like Accenture for small to mid-sized businesses, these 2 bubbles. Sort of how you should think of Whitestone. Remote contracts will pay around, $2,000 per month. And it's 50-50, so 50% on sales. That's great. And that's done in good faith too. That's done in good faith to, encourage business, the growth of this startup. And we are, and we're still very intangible. Our company is a business intelligence company, and let me finish that thought. The reason it's the best way to think of Whitestone as a business intelligence company is because that ropes in IT, because business intelligence, where it's known that they work very closely with IT, so it's understandable that they would just that we would just have that, a small IT staffing company out in Hyderabad. It makes sense. It's always going to suck to deal with them, but we just bite the bullet because it's always going to end up paying off, even if we have to train them to do different things, which we're not going to. They mostly do like clerical, setting up accounts, administrative crap. The sites for grinding out, they might not do like big assets, or that we might have to bring, he would have to go out and actually IT staff somebody that's better than him, right? So, if we were doing like a big custom project, so 2,000 a piece, but you could hold, I don't know, 5. I was planning on only 3 like brick and mortar grassroots. Only 3 grassroots. We'll call them digital and grassroots contracts. Or remote and local contracts. Ooh, I like that. Okay, so instead of this, we'll call them local contracts. Let me write that down. Like I said, those syrupy drinks. local contracts. So we have remote and local contracts. Hang on, correspondence. Okay. All right, so this makes sense. Capital in the bank account. All right, and it's all based on this rectangle right here. This foundation is consultation. So consultation is a big key player, and we'll get into that here in a second. Right now we'll get into it. Let's touch on this. This says PV and a little S, and it says portfolios. Let me grab a glass of water real quick. Okay. Let's touch on this. Web Biz Watchers sells websites and generates leads for Whitestone Executive. So Web Biz Watchers, just even if it needs to be, maybe it should be intended to be minimalism, this new age minimalism with a bunch of animations and cool stuff to compensate, or just a grindy, spammy, get them in and sell an $800 website that we copy and paste it. Grind it out. Screw it. Moving on. But in the process, we strategically generate, maybe higher dollar leads. And I think it would be wise if we figured out a way to not capitalize on those people, or not attempt to capitalize on those people with, maybe a budget of 25, 45, 15, 20, and $25,000. Maybe not pitch them an $800 site because they would take it. So we have to figure out probably a sales funnel to do that, and probably like a top-down type of thing, maybe. So first you would collect the lead, offer something heavy for free that nobody could deny, and you got to do it in a way where you give them something amazing up front, and you give them something 10 times as great a week later. That way they give you a legitimate email. They don't give you a temporary email that they just made so they can get whatever you're offering. Once you have that, then you can qualify them with a questionnaire and give them an additional free thing. So maybe 3 free things, and now we know their budget, and we have their contact and their most immediate email. Okay, so we have that idea down. We'll get into the rest of the PV stuff here in a minute. And again, PV stuff, it's basically, you see these sideways carrots. That's a PV. And a PV can be an entire portfolio of different projects, like different lead gen projects, different drop shipping, the watch site plus other drop shipping sites. We've talked about other stuff. Other stuff we want to do, that's a whole portfolio or a section within our portfolio. It's called a PV. It's a private venture, our private drop shipping venture. So you could call the watch side a PV. Maybe we don't call these PVs. Maybe we call it subsection or something else. But right now, called a PV. And this is the PV stuff. This side's PV stuff. This side's we went over is basically our cash, like our capital generator. Nothing else to be expected from it. It's not pretty. It's not fancy. Hip hop kind of stuff is kind of embarrassing. I really don't even like open it up to you about it because it's not how I see myself being in the future. But like I said, frozen banana stand, right? And this could be weight loss. Not exactly something to write home about either. But you and I both understand we got to do what we got to do. Okay, so we'll get into the rest of the PV stuff here in a minute. We've talked about this and this bubble, but there's probably a couple more things we need to say. But let's take a look at this real quick because I think we can wrap this up and then wrap this up and then go over the rest of this and be done. So, Director of Intelligence, right now that's me. I just want that there. That's a crown jewel position title for me. I like it. I would like this person to be able to do everything, and I think, like, sort of, and just to be honest with you, and just let's leave it where it lies, okay? We don't touch the DI or the DOI right now. And it's me right now. And essentially what this person does is they're like the director of the business intelligence department, which is our company, right? So we might have like clerical departments. We're going to have an administrative assistant, whether we rope it in with the analyst or not. But it's a BI department, so that's the director of intelligence. And that person's going to work very closely with the COO. And so we're a company that's focused around executive. This is all executive stuff, A company that's focused on executive stuff would be a company that's going to be comprised mostly of business intelligence, because business intelligence employees can do anything, in my opinion. And they work with IT, which is the only, what the heck else do you really need right now? For any company, So that's what makes it executive. And I'm sure there are going to be, excuse me, sorry. And I'm sure there are going to be more points that mature, 10, 20, 5 years down the road. Especially as we get those contracts, which is going to be the biggest thing. One more thing. Here it is. Consultation contracts and private ventures. That's the name of the game. That's Whitestone Executive. Like I said, Whitestone Executive is meant to be an umbrella company from the get. I want to have that open availability, and I want to employ people and partner with people who have the business administration and the business management skills to manage themselves. You should be able to work remotely from anywhere in the world and just, freaking manage yourself. Self-control there, very well done, me. But you should be able to control yourself, you know what I mean? And it's like, I never really used to think that I worked very hard, and that's because I didn't have very much enthusiasm for, a job that paid less than like $15 an hour. The types of jobs. And I couldn't get into it, so anyways, I'll leave that idea where it lies. It's not that important to continue down that vein. So digital strategist, this is you, okay? And you're a key player right now, so take that as you will, but there you are. So digital analyst, through the filling the gaps job description in a nutshell for the DI, Director of Intelligence, in an effort to fill this gap, that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to be setting up the software for the hip-hop stuff and getting this going and making sure that I work with the IT guy to get this going. Whereas this is going to be, you're going to be focusing more on getting those contracts. It's a lot to ask, but like I said, the employees, I want the highest quality, and I don't care if we have to do a lot of sweat equity on the internal training. That's totally fine. I don't care like if people have degrees, as long as we can set up perhaps maybe a series of tests or probationary periods where we can qualify people. Just like any township who brings in children into a church, into a school that's plugged into a good church, they're cultivating talent essentially for their cities to bring that dough back in and magnify it. And we sort of want to replicate that, as above so below. We sort of want to replicate that model, right? So we want to cultivate, and it's going to be very private because we can't really compete with like Google or any other tech company out there. I don't think it's very wise for us to do that. I think we should hedge our bets and sort of edge more in the direction of like Bridgewater or something small. Not even Accenture. Maybe Accenture for small to medium sized businesses right now, providing business line of software, or excuse me, line of business software, and fulfilling those remote contracts, and doing maybe some like the equity section of our portfolio, helping other businesses, and obviously this one as well. And then this generates leads for Whitestone for more remote contracts, and obviously the local contracts as well. Hmm. I don't think it's necessary to continue down that road. Um, and then we have systems administration. And that department is filled right now by our guy who's, from any angle, no matter what we want to do moving forward, ready to work. He's enthusiastic about learning new things. Um, but that's just that. So I guess that follows the model for our company I was talking about. We bring them in, stupid, and if they decide to leave, they're gonna walk away. Brilliant. You know, we can't bet, and we don't want to put ourselves, especially now, out there to overextend ourselves on payroll, especially if we take out a loan on that. I don't want to do that. So we have to, I think, focus internally and sort of think like, okay, what small, maybe even growth hacking. What private ventures can we do to drum up, maybe $500,000 in capital this year? You know, Even if we do payroll like $150,000 each, now we got $200,000 in the company. What can we do? Doesn't have to be large, doesn't have to be huge, but we also don't want it to be like, if after 9 months this company hits $300,000 in sales, we might get 200,000 if we're lucky in investment in which you make 8 to 12% on, or have 2 to 10% equity in which you can sell back if the company over the course of another 9 months does well, your stock and ROI increasing accordingly. So, is it worth your time? I don't think so. I think if we focus up, we narrow our vision on our pathway from point A to B, and we focus on internal projects, PVs, and as what are essentially JVs between you and I, joint ventures. But I want to keep the dynamic that we have, in the sense that I lead Whitestone Executive, and it's for the time being, and things are very liquid. They'll switch around. I like you in the mentor role, but I want to make sure that there's a clear line, at least vocalized, between I want you to take lead on the business aspect of things, how things work between us and the bank, how things work between us and the different offices that we have to, whatever, how things work with us tax wise, how things work with us perhaps financially. I can't keep up with all of that stuff, and technically speaking, I don't have a degree in it. I can get a certification in any of that stuff. And obviously, I just gave you a long tangent not 45 seconds ago. That sounded like a pretty crafty business plan just on the fliznai. Sorry, and try to all this work and I'm trying to stay stay goofy. So I'm great at the business planning, but as far since I have that PhD theory philosophy attitude, that's good enough for me. All I want to do is play Monopoly and have this company where we all play Monopoly in the real world. And we have portfolios where we can literally do anything we want to do. It's going to be difficult. We have to have open minded people and people that can manage themselves. But like I said, okay, so let me wrap up. I think that gives you a pretty good idea, but let me go over the rest of this. So lead generation is the easiest company to start online. The easiest software is client relationship managers, CRMs. So small versions of like Salesforce, sort of more probably just like um, the Hub Pages one. I haven't used it. The free CRM. Um, but lead gen companies are super easy to start. You basically get a contract with someone and say, "Hey, we can market your business with either a white hat marketing our white hat ad agency, which works with like AdWords and like banner placement ads and stuff like that on relevant blogs and stuff, and our black hat ad agency, which utilizes like 4 or 5 pieces of amazing software to just drive leads. We can build any lead gen company in the world and provide leads on contract to say a big network of rentals or anything in the world. That's why I'm saying this. You have to be open minded. You have to be able to persistently think independently, long winded, and you have to be able to. I can't remember. So the lead gen works in tandem with everything else. They all work in tandem with each other, pretty much, and cover all bases. This is a great private portfolio to start out with, and these are all subdivisions of those portfolios, subfolders. We can call them folders or whatever. I like thinking of them as a folder. So lead gen, we can build a lead gen company for anything, our own portfolios or anyone else's, and we can back those up with either a white hat marketing thing, AdWords or what have you, or a black hat marketing thing, like the social media automation or whatever. So then equity. I don't know if this will get a lot of attention until maybe after the first 24 months, because this requires us to put in a lot of sweat. Basically, anytime you see equity, sweat or capital, which is basically sweat. So, but, like for instance, my little brother who's brilliant, and my youngest brother who's brilliant as well. Um, I definitely want, he's going to be focusing on that big time during the summer. He's going to be doing a rural ISP, which is an idea I came up with, and I shouted at them. I said, I've been telling you guys this over and over, complaining about internet at mom and dad's rural house. And told them over and over and over, and they're trying to figure out how to bridge an internet with like relays, like make a relay of repeaters and stuff. And I was like, you guys could figure out how to do this from a business perspective so much faster. So that ISP, he's already looked into it and done the research, and I trust his research. He's in college or whatever. Listen to me. But I trust his research, and he said it's going to be pretty profitable, and I think it's well worth the equity. We could maybe even get 50%. I could maybe even get 50%. I don't know how it would work exactly with Whitestone. I don't know. But also, and I know my mother is wanting to do something where she could be remote, like an eBay business. And I know that sounds small time, but she's also a very smart lady. Mucky Muck for GM. And she's it would be a small amount, much like the lotion thing, but as uh, I would put the extra work in the beginning out of my own pocket, just to see if I could set her up to be able to scale well. The idea is I would like for her to have something nice and solid that she could retire on and feel good. $10,000 a month, I don't think that's too much to ask. Heck, I'll give her a freaking hip hop site. I would like to do that. That would be a nice personal achievement for me. But if I did take that extra time to do so, I could also bank on opening up to like 15% equity or 18% equity, 24. She's not greedy, especially if it's if it's between $10,000 and $15,000 monthly. That's good income. That's great income, especially locally. So that might be more personal because anything I'd get from that would really just be contributing to income. That way, it could get a little bit of extra love and attention. So underneath that, I can't tell what that says. So let me look. I am software. This ghosted out one. That's an important one as well. This puts us strategically in a position to. So basically, this is all we have to thrive off of is our ability to leverage our intelligence and our strategy. How many things can we line up? Well, can we line up enough to make ourselves freaking rich? Maybe. That's not all we want to be. Like, I want to do really cool projects, but how likely is it? Because frankly, I'm the type to hedge my bets. And I'm not saying that it's not likely. I'm saying that if we approach it from a realistic perspective and work hard, we can get it done. We can work on something cool. Even if it's solar panels. I would love solar panels. Doesn't necessarily have to be innovative, but if we can work on something cool on a large scale, it's like that. With this bullet point, we can put ourselves in a position to. Oh, my eyes hurt so bad. We can put ourselves in a position to create our own marketing software. So we would have our own suite and toolkit, and we could sell whichever of those that we wanted. And we could even reach out there to people and sort of like fund an idea, to which then we would have access to that software. So that would open up new marketing channels, and could even open up a lot of channels that are not as competitive because it's innovative software. It's capitalizing on an exploit that's not. So basically, it wouldn't be too hard. You would find a growth hack exploit, basically just some funky way on the internet to uh, drain a coagulation of a specific niche of people and basically do banking or traffic manipulation and drive that traffic from point A to point B being your squeeze page or landing page with your offer. Um, and typically, what you would do in that scenario, the wisest decision usually is to give them a free offer, capture the lead, tag it up and stuff, and collect it, add it to your list automatically, and then automatically redirect them. Hit them with an offer in their email, plus let them know they've been signed up or whatever. but also redirect them at the same time to an entirely different offer that's super easy to liquidate right then and there. I mean, right then and there, and very low cost. That way you monetize, like if it cost you $3 to get that sale, or $15 to get that sale, or $25 to get that sale, you can like make your money back on a certain percentage of sales or what have you, you know. So our main asset value though is the time that we put into our strategy and how crafty can we be. Can we get it to a position where our numbers, our black and white numbers are good? We don't just talk about being intelligent. It's black and white. So can we design a right then and there offer that basically covers our entire marketing budget for that specific venture? That would be impressive, and I think that that's something we could do when you got into the math of everything: conversion ratio, price point, and your marketing channels, your demographic, and where you're marketing. So AutoBiz is basically, you know, drop shipping is selling a physical product, and you know, you can automate the fulfillment of that, but you know, I'd have to look into that to see what limitations there are. AutoBiz is, you know, we're gonna start saying automatic business, an automatic biz, an auto biz. Basically, what an auto biz does is it sells a digital product or a product that autofills by innately. So that way, you basically just aim a marketing channel at it and cash in. It can be pretty hard to build, but I think at this point we can do it, especially over the course of the next 12 months. There's no way we don't have a folder of those. 3 to 8, I don't know. You know, there's going to be a lot of cool ways that we discover now that we're really taking things seriously. And we're really being strategic about, you know, it's basically just you and I and like, you know, a little bit of help here and there, and we're open to like big AI software divisions, and we work a lot of business deals and keep things open, and but we also, you know, and it's good that we're open to defining things as well. Um, like for instance, the system administrator, that I could just as easily make a change there, but we would need some definition first. I think the low cost is too easy to leverage and too difficult to let go. White hat marketing, so AdWords management, Facebook management. It's a lot. This is a lot. That's why we have to start with just this. Because until we have capital, we're not going to be able to focus on crap. We're just going to keep going in circles. And I'm tired of it. And I don't care if this crashes and burns. Just to be frank right now. I don't care. I don't give a crap if this market has been totally drained. I know SoundCloud's been getting it from all sides, but last time I didn't even market to SoundCloud, so it's just additional business there. The social media automation, I'm not really worried about competition there. But even if this crashed and burned, number one is this. It's the idea that this represents. This is like the roles that everything is represented. It's good that you and I are open to changing things, but this is pretty good. I wouldn't change anything from here. I would make your interpretation just the mature version of this. and then uh, put your ideas in a separate abridgment, maybe even bullet point them in red underneath, you know, areas where you would inject a paradigm shift is what I mean specifically, not necessarily what your refinement would be of these all these different bullet points. It's not too bad since we've looked at it for a while. I know it's a little all over the place, but um, so we've got the Black Hat ad agency. Boy, that's going to be amazing, especially for our own ventures. Once we've got like 4 or 5 of these powerhouse Black Hat softwares down, I mean, we're just going to be able to drive anybody anywhere. It's expensive software. It's going to probably cost us a lot of dough, $2,000-3,000 to get all that software and infrastructure. But we can, eventually we'll get to the point where we can just like copy and paste entire servers chock full of automated software, especially if it's our own custom software. Like, for instance, if we grow what would be our programming department. So we can get into that as time goes on. Finally, the last one, and again, I want to notice how everything like interlocks, but there's an entire business for it that we could sell, and we could make an entire portfolio out of this. And really, it's just sort of meta in that we're putting ourselves in a position to make a lot of money, getting better, like the best, really, because this is all stuff that I'm familiar with. Basically, it would be me teaching you and us blossoming that into a company with an analyst underneath the both of us, in which we would get another strategist, and then you and I would move up and things would fill in. So that paints a pretty clear picture as far as this is gone. And the host, so that with that final point, hosting. So 2 things come to mind when hosting comes to mind. So websites, we can sell a website and host it. And we should try and push annual packages. We should say white glove luxury hosting or whatever. White glove executive class hosting. Whatever gets the point across. And tell them it's much smarter to pay for 1, 2, 3, 5, and 10 years of hosting, and we do that. If we could do 10 years of hosting for a killer package, we should do it. Who gives a crap? And then we'll sell off the hosting company. Who gives a crap? We should do a deal where they pay annually, right? And package it out at 10 years. You pay that premium. Then you only have to pay $2-3 per month, which another competing hosting company will still buy that. They will buy that, a hosting company comprised of 100, 200, 300 people who are only paying $3, $4, $5 a month for hosting. And a lot of these people, HostGator, their basic hosting for one website, I remember when I got started out, was like $19.99. So we're saving these people, $15 a month, but in the premium, let's say they're only paying, I don't know, let's make it really good, $4 to $8 per month, and then they pay that premium out over whatever time they'd like to. And then the other MVP for the hosting the other MVP for the hosting would be selling a VPS, or actually renting a VPS would be the best, because this is the way that it's actually done. Renting a VPS that's chock full of software and chock full of accounts, chock full of proxies, chock full of everything that it needs. It's all loaded up and it's ready to market any asset, any website. This is True to the bone marketing. We don't even call it traffic generation or anything like that. It's basically just one of our lead gen machines, which is a VPS chock full of that black hat goody good software, and it pushes whatever you tell it to push. And we basically rent that out, and that's under our hosting business. So you host a VPS that, and people can they'll be able to get a blank VPS from us as well, Linux or Windows. And I'd also like to eventually look at making our own version of Linux. Would be fun, but this is how I'm looking at things right now. At least I don't know, for 6 months, at least, because I don't want to try and bring on a bunch of people and make things real confusing. So I'm sort of cutting that down. And this is all over the place. You might not even be able to make a business plan out of this. Because this is an entire business, and this is an entire business, and this is an entire biz. This is a folder of different businesses. This could be a folder of businesses, different pieces of software we develop. Equity, different projects we could be involved with. You could get a bank loan for any of these, probably. They're not even our ventures, they're just ventures we have stock in. Lead generation, those are technically businesses. They'll sell off as businesses. You sell it off to someone who's interested in the rental, whatever. You could just sell it on Flippa. It's a little lead gen business, and you sell it. Drop shipping, those are all independent businesses. And this is a business that intends on building other businesses for which we also offer consultation. So we offer the consultation, but we do the remote contracts for now, which helps us stay focused. But we're also open to the local contracts down the line, maybe 24 months from now. And we have a nice finite amount of roles, which is great. But we have all these projects, and we are lining up a lot here. So it does make it sort of like this weird, awkward mixture between broad and specific. And it's all based off of this thing, which to any, I think, underwriter would never authorize a loan for. Even though it's, even if they saw transaction history. I mean, this is the one thing you should probably put a loan into, and I don't think any bank would do that. So this is all over the place. So maybe I don't even know if you can really. How would you even? At this point, why would you? I mean, I might be able to draw up a business plan, but you know how I am. I'm all over the place. And and I gotta be honest with you. I don't want you to come back and say, maybe it would be best if we just focus on. We are gonna focus on one thing at a time. But all of the stuff on this board right now is stuff that we need to be involved with. Because why would we not have a hosting business if we're gonna be selling websites? And we're definitely gonna be having drop shipping sites, lead gen websites, potentially helping people build their websites where we can, in exchange, take equity. Shoot, someone gives you 15. If you can get someone to give you 15 to 25% equity in exchange for a website, that is a killer deal. Let alone 1 to 10%. IM software. How can we, now that we've talked about the IM software, how can we afford to say no to that? We're gonna have a software company, right? We're gonna need internal projects for them to focus on. And how can we say no to the auto business when I've been focusing on that for so long that I know how to do it now, and it's a unicorn? How can we say no to that? White hat marketing, we're gonna be doing that. AdWords, Facebook marketing, we're gonna be doing that. So how can we not rope that into a business that we can later sell when we're done using the business 6 months, 12 months down the road, when we're done using AdWords for whatever campaign we had? And frankly, with the way I've been, I'm kind of maturing into manhood and seeing how real the world is. Frankly, I could take WebBiz Watchers, and with the accounting, I could spit up an entirely separate entity that was an auto biz and host that on the hosting company. And because of the banking on it in the accounting, how the money is transferring, basically, once $200 comes in from one of these and that flows around or does whatever, whatever accounting voodoo, nothing that's technically wrong. All of these entities handling the same money under an umbrella account. I'm sure that there is some law against that, and in that case, we wouldn't, and we're not going to anyways, regardless. I'm just saying that, like, can we really afford to let go of any of these things? I, I don't I can't find that. I can't bring myself to do it. I would much rather focus internally and keep our team small, down to like 4 people, and keep the quality high, and keep the good foundation and principles and stuff. Small team, but with the mentality of like a money group. Not a whole lot to do with rank, more to do with role and team team building and stuff. Teamwork. An intelligence, like a ninja team, a money group. Imagine if we took 24 months and we got a team of 4 people, and we mastered everything that you see on this board, and we got to the point where we're making dough hand over fist, all 4 of us. And in fact, we're able to hire another strategist and analyst, pick up new contracts, start some new projects we have on the whiteboard for our portfolios and PVs and stuff. Some new PVs we have after that, at the end of that 24 months. And we want to expand, and you and I want to move up. And I move up to, I don't know, CEO, and you move up to COO, just so we can define it for, I don't know, 6 to 12 months to be extra safe. And then we move on to the board. Like I said, the whole idea of this, I'd like to keep it remote and retire and like 35 from the workforce. And if I can just retire to like a board role and still keep a lot of like the planning control and stuff, maybe a little bit, or influence, like where we're focusing, I don't know. It's supposed to be a company with a lot of autonomy, and if we work in the beginning, put in a lot of sweat equity to master these things, to where we're forming businesses out of the things we're doing and selling the businesses and the processes. Very meta, maybe even funky to even think about. It's like guru crap. But more professional than that. B2B services. But we're essentially getting paid to sharpen our teeth. And then we can move on to bigger and better projects. And all 4 of us work together to know and push, to know what each other is to help define what our roles and how that differentiates between other roles, like what our roles are, how they work together, who can push themselves the hardest, and we work to define those roles. And if we ever want to retire and just focus on our own private portfolios, that individual person can help fill that role, and we know what it is and where that person is at. So it's very money group-esque, because there's so many projects and ventures. Like, for instance, the white hat and black hat ad agencies. Like, we could literally spend 24 months doing that, We basically just get like a white hat and a black hat portfolio each of affiliate offers we wanted to promote. We could just promote a hosting company. You can get $50 a lead for that. Like $50 a purchase. It's great. So I can definitely on paper make it sound specific, but the transparency of it all. All right, I'll let you go. I'll talk to you off. Thank you for your attention. Hope you're having a good night and day, or wherever we're at when you're at this point. I'll talk to you.